The Contract of Fear. The council chamber aboard the mercenary flagship Varkesh Dominion reeked of ozone, oil, and barely restrained violence. The air recyclers thrummed low, straining against the press of bodies packed into the cavernous war room. Hundreds of alien warriors, mercenaries from across a dozen systems, stood in silent ranks. Their forms were varied, some towered on insectal legs, carapaces gleaming under the chamber's dim light. Others crouched low, their reptilian hides covered with heavy armor plating. Cybernetic augments hummed faintly, glowing eyes flashing from sockets of steel. These were not soldiers bound by loyalty or honor. They were killers for hire, veterans of countless wars, drawn here by promises of wealth, plunder, and glory. At the head of the chamber stood Crothall, warlord of the Dominion and commander of the assembled legions. His towering form eclipsed even the largest mercenaries, his insectoid body clad in segmented armor wrought from the bones of slain foes. His 4 clawed hands gripped the edge of the holotable as he activated the display. A glowing planet flickered into being above it, blue and green, small by galactic standards. Earth, Crothall hissed, his mandibles clattering with the word. His voice carried through the chamber like the rasp of blades. A primitive world on the edge of nowhere. Its species, the humans, are barely past the age of atmospheric rocketry. They lack fleets, they lack dreadnoughts, they lack the machines of war that we possess. A ripple of derisive laughter spread among the mercenaries. Many had expected a challenge worthy of their skill. Instead, they saw a backwater target ripe for conquest. But Crothall raised one massive claw and slammed it against the table. The hollow projection shifted, zooming in, not on fleets or cities but on soldiers. Images flickered, squads of men and women in drab camouflage, teams in dark armor moving silently through ruined streets, night vision footage of figures advancing in tight formation, weapons raised. These, Crothall said, his voice dropping low, are their special forces. The laughter died instantly. Silence spread like a shadow. Even the humming of cybernetic implants seemed to pause. Crothall let the moment stretch, savoring the tension, before continuing. You've all heard the rumors. Perhaps you dismissed them. I tell you now, they are true. These humans are not ordinary warriors. They are predators disguised in frail bodies. They fight not with the discipline of machines, but with the fury of beasts, and the cunning of both. He gestured, and the holotable displayed recordings stolen from Syndicate archives, helmet cam footage of alien strongholds falling to small bands of human operators, audio logs of mercenaries screaming as they were picked apart one by one in the dark, grainy surveillance showing humans crawling through mud, waiting hours for the perfect strike. They infiltrate fortresses thought impenetrable, Crothall continued, his mandibles clicking as his anger grew. They destroy units 10 times their size. They kill without hesitation, without mercy, without fear. They are the reason several captains, your peers, have refused Earth contracts. They are why the Syndicate pays us triple for this war. A cybernetic mercenary, his body more machine than flesh, stepped forward. His voice was a guttural rasp. You exaggerate. No species of primitives could match us. We have plasma rifles, orbital bombardments, void-armored tanks. What can flesh and bone do against such power? Crothall turned his multifaceted eyes on him. You question me, Vargos? Then tell me why the mercenaries of the Greshton Legion abandoned their mission after losing an entire company to 12 human soldiers. Tell me why the Krell Syndicate lost an entire garrison on Aegis 7, annihilated in a single night raid. Tell me why their warlords refuse to return to human space. Do you think them cowards? Vargos hesitated, his mechanical jaw twitching. He had no answer. Crothall's mandibles curled into what passed for a grin. No. They are not cowards. They are survivors. They have seen what I have seen. Humans are not prey. They are hunters who happen to wear prey's skin. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some mercenaries shifted uneasily, their clawed feet scraping against the steel floor. Others lowered their eyes, recalling the whispered stories of comrades who never returned from human engagements. Crothall slammed his claw again, and the projection shifted once more, this time showing Earth colonies on distant worlds. The Syndicate demands conquest. They demand we break the humans and deliver their colonies as tribute. And they pay enough to buy 1,000 fleets. He leaned forward, his compound eyes glittering like obsidian. I tell you this not to frighten you. I tell you this so you understand, we face no ordinary prey. We face a species whose strength lies not in technology, but in will. They are unpredictable, adaptable, relentless. And if we underestimate them... The image shifted to a final clip, a human squad dragging the bodies of alien mercenaries out of a bunker, stacking them neatly, and planting a flag in the smoking rubble. The camera zoomed in on their faces, painted with mud, eyes cold and unflinching. Then it is we who will become the hunted. Silence blanketed the chamber. Even the most hardened killers looked uneasy. Crothall saw it in their eyes, the flicker of doubt, the shadow of fear. He knew many of them had already decided that no sum of wealth was worth facing those cold-eyed humans. But wealth was a powerful motivator. Pride was stronger still. And fear of their warlord strongest of all. Crothall spread his claws wide. The Syndicate has contracted us to do what others could not. To crush the humans. To prove that even their special forces are mortal. His mandibles clicked once more, sharp and final. And we will test them. First contact, last mistake. The mercenary fleet emerged from slipspace in a blaze of light, shadows stretching across the stars. Dozens of warships, spiked frigates, dreadnoughts patched with scavenged plating, cruisers bristling with weapon turrets, encircled their target, Aegis 9, an outer human colony world. Aegis 9 had little strategic value. It was a mining hub with a population barely numbering in the tens of thousands, protected by a planetary shield and a handful of orbital defense platforms. By all logic, it should have been easy prey for the mercenaries. A quick bombardment, a ground invasion, and the humans would fall like so many others before them. But the humans were waiting. The drop. Crothall stood in the command deck of the Varkesh Dominion as the first waves of mercenary troops descended toward the planet. Drop pods tore through the atmosphere, leaving burning trails across the sky. Inside them, reptilian shock troopers hissed in anticipation, claws twitching around plasma rifles. Insectoid sharpshooters adjusted their multi-lensed helmets, ready to hunt from the high ridges. Cybernetic enforcers powered up their heavy exosuits, hydraulic limbs whirring with menace. They expected chaos. Panic. Colonists screaming, soldiers scrambling, defenses collapsing. Instead, they found silence. The first pods slammed into the ground outside the mining settlement of Redhaven. Dust and ash filled the air as the armored doors blew open. Troops surged out, weapons scanning, mandibles clacking, cybernetic feet crunching across stone. The settlement was empty. Not a colonist in sight. Not a single human stood to oppose them. Clear the buildings, growled Vargos, the cybernetic commander leading the assault. No survivors. No witnesses. The squads fanned out. Doors were kicked in, rooms cleared, weapons raised at nothing but overturned chairs and abandoned meals. It was as if the humans had vanished. That was when the first shot rang out. The ambush. It came from the rooftops, a single suppressed crack that dropped an insectoid sniper instantly, his skull exploding in a spray of ichor. Before the mercenaries could react, another shot. Then another. Precision strikes, one after another, felling soldiers faster than they could locate the source. Snipers. Find them. Vargos roared, raising his heavy plasma cannon toward the rooftops. He fired in sweeping arcs, reducing entire buildings to rubble. Dust filled the air, and for a moment the mercenaries thought they had silenced the attackers. Then the shadows moved. Human special forces emerged like ghosts. Figures clad in matte black combat armor, their faces obscured behind visors. They didn't shout. They didn't roar. They moved in perfect silence, weapons rising and firing in controlled bursts. Each shot dropped another mercenary. Alpha Team, suppressing fire, a voice crackled over the human comms. Bravo, flank left. The mercenaries, used to overwhelming their prey with brute force, suddenly found themselves fighting shadows that struck from impossible angles. Every time they tried to regroup, grenades rolled under their feet, blasting them apart. Every time they charged, the humans vanished, melting into smoke and rubble only to reappear behind them. Vargos snarled, his mechanical limbs propelling him through the chaos. They are only flesh, he bellowed. Crush them. But flesh moved faster than metal. A human darted from cover, planted a charge on his exosuit, and disappeared before Vargos could fire. The explosion ripped through his armor, sending him crashing to the ground in flames. The Ghost War. Crothall watched the battle unfold from orbit, mandibles grinding in disbelief. His elite shock troops, the killers who had toppled planetary governments, were being cut down like livestock. Report, he snarled. Ground teams are pinned, Warlord, his aide stammered. The humans. They anticipated our drop zones. They knew exactly where we would land. Crothall's compound eyes narrowed. This was no coincidence. The humans had prepared for them. On the surface, the battle turned into a nightmare. The mercenaries tried to push deeper into the settlement, but every street was a trap. Walls rigged with explosives collapsed on advancing units. Mines detonated beneath armored walkers, flipping them like toys. Drones buzzed overhead, feeding the humans a constant stream of targeting data. Echo Team, breach left flank. Charlie, cover extraction route. Copy that. On your mark. The human voices were calm, measured, almost casual, as if this wasn't war but routine work. They coordinated with machine-like efficiency, every move precise, every shot deliberate. Mercenaries screamed over their comms as they fell into kill zones, cut down by crossfire from unseen angles. Some dropped their weapons and tried to flee, only to be hunted down by humans who seemed to know exactly where they were running. It wasn't a battle. It was an execution. The turning point. By the second day, Crothall's forces had lost 3 entire companies. What was supposed to be a swift conquest had become a grinding massacre. Mercenaries who had never known fear now refused to leave their drop zones. Rumors spread like wildfire. The humans were demons, shadows that could not be killed, predators that turned hunters into prey. Desperate, Crothall ordered an orbital strike on Redhaven. Plasma lances rained from the sky, reducing the settlement to molten ruins. Surely nothing could survive that. But when the smoke cleared, the humans were still there. Emerging from tunnels, from hidden bunkers, from beneath the very rubble Crothall had created. And they were angrier than before. On the third night, human special forces struck back directly. They infiltrated a mercenary command post under cover of darkness, slipping past guards, disabling sensors, moving with supernatural silence. By the time the mercenary captain realized his camp was under attack, it was already too late. His officers were dead, their throats slit. His munitions depot was on fire. His own command tent collapsed in flames as the humans vanished into the night, leaving nothing but corpses and chaos. The survivors babbled over comms, begging to retreat. "We cannot fight them," one alien sobbed. "They are everywhere. They are death itself." Crothall's mandibles clenched. For the first time in centuries of war, he felt something foreign coil in his gut. Not anger. Not shame. Fear. The message. On the fourth day, a single mercenary dropship limped back to the Varkesh Dominion. Its hull was scorched, its engines sputtering. Inside were 6 survivors out of a company of 200. They stumbled into the warlord's chamber, eyes wide, mandibles quivering, cybernetic limbs sparking from damage. "What happened?" Crothall demanded, his voice a guttural growl. One survivor dropped to his knees, trembling. "They let us live," he whispered. "Why?" Crothall snarled. The mercenary raised his eyes, haunted and broken. "To deliver a message." He swallowed, then spoke words that froze even Crothall's hardened heart. "Earth does not fear you. You should fear Earth." The chamber fell silent. Even the machines seemed to stop humming. For the first time in the history of the mercenary legions, an enemy had not only fought them to a standstill but had deliberately spared survivors, so their legend would spread. Crothall stared into the void beyond the viewport, mandibles tightening. He had thought the humans prey. But now he understood. He had unleashed predators.